We have Stan Abrams with us. He's the chief executive over at H2O Processing. And we're going to go over kind of a recap. I thought it would be helpful. We've been doing this with several of the chief executives, especially in matters or companies or subsidiaries, I should say, of interest. So we're going to go over the recap of last year, what was accomplished, and then what we're doing now and what we're looking for 2022. So I guess we'll get started. Stan, so last year, we made a lot of progress, right? So with H2O, the goal, and across the entire company, was setting up the foundation for next year. And last year we did that in 2021 and 2020. We were building things and putting everything together. So with H2O in 2021, we were able to get quite a few demonstrations done. We were able to put a couple of I don't know what do you label those when they bring in the samples and they do like an analysis? Is that a profile of the water?
Right. We request analysis of water so we can determine the type of technology we're going to use for treatment to get the best treatment.
That's an interesting point. See, a lot of people don't know this, but the units that you manufacture, everyone's very familiar with the full mobile water treatment system that is three tractor trailers, a bus, and then depending on the particulate matter in the water, or I think sodium content, right, or salinity in the water, you can have a evaporator, and then of course the cat systems, the two generators they're pretty big. So I think most people are familiar with that. But what you're talking about and the demonstrations that have been done this year, you can customize that technology. Some people might not need an evaporator. Some people may not have the full requirements of the original system. So you fine tune that. So there was it 2 or 3 demonstrations last year towards the end of the year?
Yeah. Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. So, and there was I don't know how many people were there, but I know one of them had 30, 40 people representing 5 companies to a dozen companies. Is that about right?
Correct.
All right. So with last year, we brought in a lot of samples of water towards the very, very end of the year. We got those results back, and we provided that to the potential clients, and then they did their own analysis. They sent it out to a lab as well, correct?
Right. What we've tried to do in the analysis, first of all, we need to ask the question, what is their needs? And are they going to try and recycle water? Are they just trying to use the water for other purposes, especially in the oil field? In the oil field industry, they have a lot of innate problems where they need to either dispose of the water in a disposal well, or they need to use it for agriculture use, or for we can even refine it to the point of drinking water. So we need to know what their whole program is in order to figure out how we're going to analyze the water,
right,
find out what's in their water so we know what we want to take out and to what degree. So we don't have to go to the degree of complete treatment where we would say we're treating it for using it for on the ground or agriculture or drinking. Then what you're suggesting and what we're doing is we're refining our system to maybe a 1 or 2 trailer system, which will meet their requirements. And we're in the process now of doing that.
And that saves the client money, because I know each system, on average, give or take, up or down, depending on the specific requirements of the system, they average around $2 million for each system, right? So that's the 3 tractor trailers, the mobile command center, which is in the form of a bus, and then it goes up if you want the evaporator system by about $500,000 or something like that.
Right.
And then if you don't need certain systems, like an RO piece, then it can fall just below the $2 million mark. Now, something that's been interesting, and I think, so last year we were laying the groundwork to build the business up and build the revenues for 2022. I think, share with everyone something that I haven't shared with any of them yet, but you have designed out a mobile demonstration system that's on one truck. Now, I just want to this is a very low output system that essentially just proves that the technology works in the field, right?
Correct. Yeah, we use the word demonstration unit, but it also is a working model. So we've perfected a 50-gallon a minute system, which we can take to the field and actually use. And there are a lot of clients in that, especially the oil industry, that can use a system of that size. But it'll only take the water to the point where we're treating it so that they can get rid of a lot of waste stream that they have without hauling it. And that's their biggest thing. Some of our clients now are sending us samples, and their biggest concern is taking certain things out of the oil. They're being penalized by resale. If they have certain elements in their oil, then they get penalized as much as $30–40 a barrel.
Or even like the one client where what he was it yesterday? It was the second load was denied, right?
Two load totally rejected. Yeah.
Yeah, totally
So
rejected. So they need to take out some of the heavy metals. And you're talking about the refiners that accept the oil and they'll resell it. And that's something I really haven't gone over in great depth. I know you and I talk about this all the time, but the shareholders probably are not familiar with this, right? So this process is they pump it out and then they have to resell. They sell that oil to the refineries and then they refine it and sell it. And one potential client that we're currently going back and forth with on requirements and timelines as far as delivery is that he's had 2 loads. How many barrels was that? It was
120 barrels a load.
120 barrels. So I think over the course, he's doing what, 200,000 a month?
200,000 barrels a month.
So that's roughly
240
$16 million a year that he is processing, that he could potentially have rejected it and have a loss. So that's a big problem. The other thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize what a lot of the supply oil companies were doing was they were bringing water in to dilute it down. That's no longer a viability. So now there's a cost to retain that waste material. We can actually remove it, and at a much, much lower cost. It's exponentially, right? So the costs, well, we won't go over the specific numbers, but it's drastically and exponentially cheaper, which is why you're so confident that the business is going to grow. And in fact, you have, half a dozen to a dozen potential clients that you're fielding back and forth right now with contracts and discussions. So let me ask you this: that mobile system, 50 gallons a minute, that is in complement to the tabletop system you're going to have done here in another 2-3 weeks, right?
Right. What we decided to do is do more of our tabletop demonstrations for people, because everybody wants to make sure that their oil, their particular water, whatever it is treated. You can go out and tell everybody we can treat this, we can treat that, but they want to know their specific water, until they see their water treated. So what they're actually doing now is they're sending samples to us, and they're coming up. Their chief representatives are coming up to watch the demonstrations. So what we decided to do is build a new tabletop model that represented and replicated exactly what we're doing in the field. So even though it's a much smaller system, but it'll give them a complete understanding of how the water will be treated, and that it'll be treated on the same basis of what we've already been doing in the field.
So it's just a scaled down version for most people who don't know. And this is just more of a proof of principle on how this thing functions. And that's being built at more of as a sales tool and a convenience. And then the demonstration units you're going to be delivering to, I don't want to mention any specific names yet because we haven't gone public with things, but the demonstration units are being purchased or contracted out by a strategic partner that you signed on last year that we've been working with, gave them license to operate or sell the units in the oil and gas energy sector. And if you want to give a little bit of insight on how that's going, so we're looking at several units being manufactured. Go over timeline on that too. I think a lot of people don't fully understand because the lead times on a lot of the components, because we're dealing with a lot of raw materials, correct? So we have to manufacture them, and there's nothing really off the shelf. Everything, how much of that system? It's like 90% of it's proprietary, or 80% of it's proprietary, has to be made. So give an idea on timelines as far as how long it'll take to put the mobile units, the demonstration units together. I know the tabletop unit you said will be done in a couple of weeks, but the demonstration units, and then of course, maybe the lead times on the full system.
You know, most of our long lead items are between 8 and 10 weeks. So that's really what controls what we can produce. I can produce several units at a time, but we have to order several units at a time.
Yeah.
So if we're getting, for instance, our power systems come from Germany, but they're flown to the United States to a distributor out of Florida. Our DAF units are coming from Spain, and but they're made in 4 weeks, and whatever time it takes, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get here.
Yep.
So we're subject to those timelines, and that's what we have to worry about. So what we try to do is guesstimate and estimate at the best, what do we need over the next quarter, next 2 quarters, and that's what we're trying to do now, is order enough material with our subcontractors so that we're not left holding the bag, if you will.
Right.
Build these things. The actual time to assemble is actually relatively short. Within 30 days, we can take all the components and build units. And talking about that, Alex, I think we have discussed with your company and us of locating in Florida a manufacturing plant, because we think that's going to facilitate a lot of things that we're doing, being on the East Coast, and especially the Gulf, because a lot of our material will come in through the Gulf. Right. And we're excited about that, and it gives us a much better location for manufacturing.
Yeah, let's touch on that. I haven't really gone over that publicly, but we are currently looking for not only, and with the market the way it is, we've kind of pulled back a little bit. We're waiting for things to calm down in the real estate market, but we're looking for the land to build the headquarters. We want to build out manufacturing. We're looking at some temporary sites that we can go in for about a year or so, maybe 2, and bring in or relocate a lot of the manufacturing across all subsidiaries in Florida. It would help tremendously to have everything under one roof. It's also be more cost effective, right? You don't have to have redundancy in equipment. So we have a few other potential companies that we're going to be working with in the future, and having a manufacturing site here in the Tampa Bay area would be very, very helpful, especially, like I said, all under one roof where it can be managed by a single entity. And then the subsidiaries would just be clients of that manufacturing facility. And I think it's going to make it a lot easier, especially when you're talking about even the fulfillment of a lot of this, because we're looking at doing a lot of work on the East Coast, right? We've got some stuff out west and Midwest, but we're looking at doing quite a bit of work here in Florida with the water treatment. And I think it's going to be favorable for us to have everything here. And then every subsidiary is going to have a satellite office right at the corporate headquarters. And this is something we've been planning for a couple of years. You and I have been talking about it for a while, about kind of streamlining things. Right. Because the site in Colorado had a pretty big price tag for startup. So we'll be finalizing that definitely this year. As far as when that'll be specifically, I don't want to tie into that. I think by mid-year we'll have a better idea of where the market's headed, and then we'll take a look at land versus existing facilities, and then maybe retrofitting some of those facilities. But as far as the mobile unit, the price tag on that varies a little bit depending on what version of that demonstration system. You can remove some stuff, add some stuff, but you're looking at anywhere between, where you would say, 800 to $1.1 million, $1.2 million. Is that
anywhere from about 700,000 up
700
to $1 million, $1.2 million.
Okay, so we're looking at delivering a couple of those. We won't hold you to that, but I know that you're buttoning that up. We'll probably have an answer in the next week or so, and then we'll give everyone an update on that. So this year, as far as projections, you're estimating delivering half a dozen to a dozen systems somewhere by mid-year or just past that. Is that right?
Yeah, anywhere from the end of second quarter to beginning of third quarter.
Third quarter, right? Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know we have those lead times, and that's That's part of the issue. But we'll be able to take on contracts and more clients. It's just a matter of actually being able to deliver it because of the time frames and some of the delays. But I think from, I won't put out too much right now, but you and I have had a lot of discussion on the significant interest that you've had, to the point where you and I were having discussions that were concerned about being able to deliver in a timely fashion. Because, they do take some time to assemble, and then you have those lead times bringing in the components. And then the other challenge for us was, where do you store all these materials? And that's something that we're working on addressing now. So I'm pretty excited for you guys. You guys have really made a lot of progress. I know you're working on some things. We won't get into that in this video, but maybe in the future we can go over it. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Because I know you're busy now. You got some things you needed to take care of.
I kind of would like to recap, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
What happened over the last year that we're excited about. Once we did get this strategic partnership with the company that we've known for several years, and they joined us, and they've got 30 some years experience in the high development of high filters and RO systems.
Right. Yeah.
They've installed them all over the world, 2,500 plus systems. We've known these people for a long time. They're very good people. They've joined us now, and so we have a real good commitment with them. They bring a lot of experience and a lot of contacts with them for us. We also, as you mentioned, we also got a strategic partner in the oil field. These people have 35 years experience also, and not only worked with, but worked for some of the major oil companies. And they're bringing right now the progress is what we're seeing from them now since the first of the year, or right before the first year, is 5 or 6 major clients that are sending us samples, which we'll be doing in this laptop process. And we feel that they're going to be very, very significant in developing that area for us. Mm-hmm. So given that, and with these strategic partners, especially our one that has the filtration, the owner of that, the CEO of that, and myself have developed this evaporator that we keep talking about. And we developed a new filtration system. And we also, on our side, have developed and designed improvements in our process. So that's leading to at least 3 more patents that we're filing. So we're pretty happy about what's going on. It's taken a little longer than we wanted, like everybody else, but we think that it's going to really kick off now this year. And if we don't see any problems with getting material or getting backups, then we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, well, we made the announcement. We have the relation. I think everyone is aware of the relationship we have with PP&D out of Texas. Fareed and his group are pretty well known. I think everyone knows that. They're solid. I just didn't want to get into the other stuff that we're going to be putting some announcements on. We've already made the other one, so that's fine to disclose. And I think it's been well, so far it's been working pretty smoothly, the relationships. So lots to look forward to this year. We'll give them another update. I know we've got some press we're going to be putting out soon. A little teaser there, but they'll have a better idea and a fuller picture over the next couple of weeks. And I look forward to having another conversation with you and sharing it with everyone else, because I think it's going to be something that will ultimately be a significant contributor to, the overall growth of the company for 2022. So, and you and I have these discussions almost on a daily basis. So it's gone very, very well.
And once we get the tabletop model installed and running, and we do some sample testing, we'll be doing videotapes of all that for you. So you'll be able to share that with some of your people and your shareholders. So get a better idea of what we do and how we do it.
Right. Yeah. I think the video helps too. A lot of people like seeing pictures, and a lot of the tech is really interesting, not just in H2O, but other companies. I was talking to Mark earlier. He's going to be doing some videoing of some surgeries that they're doing. I think people do want to see that, as long as we have approval, disclosure and privacy disclosure sign, then we're going to be providing as much of that as possible, because I do think that is something that people find interesting. You and I take it for granted because we talk about it, we see it. I mean, you just sent me I still got it pulled up, the design of the mobile system you just sent me this morning. we're always a little cautious because of the proprietary tech, but I think something like that, maybe if we streamline to the point where some things weren't labeled, we could probably put some things in there and maybe even release a three-dimensional image of those systems. I think people like to see those tools that we have because we CAD up a lot of stuff. We have a lot of things that we've done. And then there's a lot of the prototyping and all those things. People do like to see that. Just, you and I and everyone else, we're so focused on moving forward and working. I think sometimes we take a lot of that for granted and we don't, it's lost on us, but where everybody else on the outside looking in, they think that's exciting. So this year we are going to work on more of that, as you alluded to. I know that the other companies are going to be putting out, recording a lot more of the manufacturing process, delivery process, some of the tech, and I think people will find that interesting. So 2022 should be pretty exciting.
Great.
Especially on the outside looking in.
Got that right.
All right, Stan, I will keep you. I'm going to give you a call later. I got some other things I got to go over with you. I'm up against a hard stop here. I got to get on to another call. I do appreciate you taking the time and updating everyone.
It's been our pleasure.
Thanks, Stan. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.